Hey everyone, well in this video I'm going to be talking about a little bit more about chainsaw bars, short bar versus long bar. This is just going to be again another show and tell or straight up facts. I'm going to weigh up some saw bars here. No lightweight versus steel, just going to be straight up all steel bars. We're going to stay in the Husqvarna line. Shortest bar I have, of course, 16 inch, what I normally run in a lot of my saws. And I have actually a couple of long bars. I actually do own some long bars. Do I run them? No, not really, but I do have them. Over the years I played with them a bit, but just going to show weight comparisons. There's all kinds of lightweight bars out there, various brands, both in short and long bars, and just like the all steel bars, there's short and long, and I'm going to weigh up and show the differences and why I run short bars, mostly because of the wood species that I have here. It's all smaller trees. Now a lot of people have gotten into the the whole stand up and buck craze and all that with long bars, but a lot of guys here on YouTube are doing these weight comparison on bars, but they'll show an all steel short bar and then weigh in a super lightweight long bar and then say there's not much difference. There's big differences also in how much friction or drag there is on a saw. I'm going to touch on that here. Some guys like to talk about there's virtually no difference between running a short bar and a long bar, but then they put a hot rod ported big displacement saw on it. So no, if you're going to be running, say, a 90cc class saw or even a 75cc hot rodded ported saw, it'll overcome the drag characteristics that you're going to experience with the chain. Now there's guys here that are been doing some comparison videos here lately, weighing in bars, and they always seem to weigh the bar, just the bar alone. Nobody includes the weight of the combination of the bar and chain together. Now in this video I'm going to be including the weight of the bar and the chain, and you'd be surprised how heavy an actual the long chain is to go with the long bar. Put them together and you've got a considerable amount of weight hanging off the end of that saw. Another reason I'm not really a big fan of running long bars in small wood is simply the stress and wear and tear that it puts on the crankcase of a saw. You can't have that much leverage hanging off the end of those two little bar studs without eventually taking its toll on a saw. I'm sorry, but it does. People say it doesn't, but West Coast fallers that run saws hard with long bars, those saws show their wear and tear. Now there is a time and a place for running long bars. If you're running dropping, falling big timber, 4, 5, 6, 7 foot plus, whatever, on, like I say, coastal timber, you have no choice. You have to run a long bar. I understand that. I know that. But for guys like me cutting in mediocre wood of anything 18 inch and under, with the cost of bars now, replacement bars and chains, it's getting to be an expensive game. Anyways, gonna get on with it here and weigh up some bars, and I'll give you my final thoughts here at the end. Okay, what we got for bars here is a 16 inch Husqvarna X-Force laminated all steel bar. There's no aluminum in it. It's not a lightweight. That's just an all one-piece slab of steel. Next to it here is a Husqvarna X-Tough 28 inch bar. Old school Husqvarna, I think Oregon would have been like a power match bar, and it also has the replaceable tip on it, or replaceable nose. That one I have to actually pan out over here to show the full length of it. This is a 36 inch, and that's a 16. But 32 inch would only be within a matter of maybe a quarter pound difference of, or less, a few ounces of a 36. So what I have for chains is a 16 inch 33 RS type chain, and the other one is a Husqvarna C85. These two are 58 gauge and that one's a 50 gauge. So, and what I'm going to be doing is including, I've done a note here. I've weighed everything up on a good old-fashioned just a spring weight scale, not a fancy digital one. I'm not precise per the ounce like some guys do. But one difference is I see a lot of guys weighing bars on YouTube and saying that that's your total weight. They don't include the chain. And the chain adds a lot of extra weight. You'd be surprised. So anyways, this is the breakdown with what I came up with after weighing, and I'll go ahead and weigh it for you folks here just to show on camera, because nobody will believe me anyways if I tell you what my findings were. But this is the difference what we started out with. A 16-inch bar with no chain is 1 3/4 pounds. That's this 16-inch X-Force Husqvarna. With chain, 2 1/4 pounds. The 28-inch bar, no chain, 3 3/4 pounds. With C85 28-inch chain to match, 4 3/4 pounds. So exactly, the chain weighs exactly 1 pound. That's how much weight the chain will add for the bar. So moving on to the 36-inch bar, no chain, 5 1/4 pounds. With the chain, and that's, don't forget now, that's a 28-inch chain, not a 36-inch chain, so we're lacking a little bit there. We're a little light there. And if I had an actual full, whatchamacallit, it would probably be closer to 6 3/4 pounds. So anybody that says these long bars aren't heavy, yeah. And here you go. 16-inch versus 36. The bar with chain, like I say, the 16-inch is 2 1/4 pounds to 6, and we'll say 6.5 pounds just to be generous. That's still roughly a 4.5 pound difference. When people say that 16-inch bars are a joke and 32 or 36-inch bar is the way to go for limbing and cutting small firewood, yeah, you may not have to bend over, but do you really want to lug 4.5 pounds more around? I don't. Now getting on to drive sprockets, I've got a large hub clutch drum here just as an example. I've got a 7-tooth and an 8-tooth. Now 8-tooth was something you would run with 16, 18, 20, probably maybe even up to a 24-inch bar depending on what you're running. If you got a 70cc saw, you can run an 8-tooth with a 20-inch, no problem. I do all the time. Cutting frozen, no, some of it's softwood, some of it is semi-hardwood. But if you get into real hard white oak or ironwood or places like that, or whatever, where you got a lot of hardwood species, no, then of course you're going to go from an 8-tooth down to a 7-tooth. I'll show the difference here. I'm going to lay the 7-tooth over top of the 8-tooth right on the clutch drum here. The splines are just deep enough that it drops right in, and you can see the sizing difference here. I'll try and hold it up to the light here just to give a little better representation. There you go. You can see the size difference all around. The 7-tooth is smaller, but it's not that much smaller. But it's gearing. There's your difference. So it does create, when you get into these large bar setups like these long bars, then yeah, you're probably going to have to go to a 7-tooth sprocket. Not fair if you're going to try and run an 8-tooth, and you know, it's not really a proper comparison, I would say. Definitely you have to, it's all about gearing. You got to gear up and gear down depending on what your bar lengths are and what species of wood you're cutting. So anyways, there's the weight comparison difference on standard short bar versus long bar. We're going to do a proper weigh-in here with the bar and the chain, not just bars like guys are always doing here on YouTube. So with my crappy old spring scale, no, I don't have a fancy digital one, but mechanical is still reliable. So bar and with chain, little over 2 1/4 pounds. That's for the 16. 28-inch Husqvarna X-Tough with the C85 28-inch chain, 4 3/4 pounds. Actually almost pushing 5 pounds. And here we go, the big daddy of them all, the 36-inch Husqvarna bar. And like I say, I don't have a 36-inch chain to go with it. I've got using the 28-inch chain as a closest comparison I have, and holy moly, pushing 6 1/3 pounds. Now if I had the full 36-inch chain to go with this 36-inch bar, I'd also like to point out that in this comparison that this person was making between the short and the long bars, they said they were going to take 2 brand new stock Husqvarna chains right out of the box, brand new OEM, the new X-Cut C-Series chains. Seemed like fair enough as far as comparing like friction drag, if there was a power loss or not. Gonna run stock right out of the box. So put the first 24-inch bar on the saw, then he with the stock chain, and then they said, oh, these chains are horrible, they're just they cut okay, but they just they're not great. And most of us know that when you take a brand new chain out of the box, they don't always the factory grind on them isn't always the greatest. We all know that, so we put our own sharpening on it. But to be comparison fair, the test was supposed to be done with 2 stock out of the box chains. Like I say, the individual went ahead and put the 24-inch bar and chain on the saw, got that ready, and then standing there talking about how crappy these out of the box chains cut, and it says, nah, I can't stand how these chains cut. So he opens the box with the brand new 32-inch chain, pulls it out, and then proceeds to trot off to his workshop where he's got a Symington square grind grinder, and puts a chisel grind on it, and then says, okay, now we're going to go do comparison cuts at the wood pile. So anyways, he goes out to wherever this test pile is, and he's going to do the cuts, which is fine. Gets the saw warmed up and does everything like you're supposed to. Go ahead and makes a few cuts with the 24-inch bar, and then says, okay, now we're going to put the 32-inch bar and chain on and see if it cuts way slower than with all this friction loss. And he says, nah, there's no difference. So then he puts the 32-inch bar and chain on with the chisel grind on it, compared to the out-of-the-box, regular factory grind on the 24-inch chain. And then does a split screen and shows that, oh look, there's virtually no difference. It cuts just as fast. Yeah, sure. Anyways, I'll let you make your own conclusions to that test. But we all know that if you're going to do a chain test like that, you compare apples to apples. If you want to put a chisel grind on it, fine. But chisel grind both chains. Put a square grind on them. The 24 and the 32. Don't just grind the 32 and then run a half crappy stock out of the box 24 and then say that, oh look, it's apples to apples comparison. No. Coming up here in the future, I might do some of my own testing here if the weather allows here, or when the spring comes. It might be a little ways away yet, folks, sorry, but I will take and run a out of the box stock chain, brand new, long bar versus short bar, and we'll do a proper test. Again, chain A, chain B. I'm not good at doing the split screen comparisons side by side in that regard. I'll let you folks decide, but then we'll see how much friction drag there is. And I'll do maybe a couple of saw comparisons, as in I'll run a smaller power head like a 60 or 65 cc saw with a short bar, and then with the long bar to see how much power drag down there is. Yeah, I've got a big bore saw here too that I can throw them on and show that then when you power them up and you rip through, if you can overcome the friction difference, then there is no power, much of a power loss difference. You don't notice it. But in a smaller saw, it is noticeable. So be interesting to see what the test results come out as. Quite a big weight difference there when you compare a 16-inch bar up to like the one I used here in the video, a 36-inch bar, which in some areas guys do run. I know maybe that's a bit excessive. Some people run 28s, which I also showed in the video, but even a 28-inch bar and chain is still considerably heavier than a 16 or 18-inch bar and chain. So once you get up to obviously the 32 or 36, it's like doubling your weight of an 18-inch or 16-inch bar. So, but regardless, just food for thought, so something to think on. Anyways, just like to say thanks everybody once again for stopping by and checking out another one of my videos, and we'll see you all in the next one.